Welcome to the Strange North channel. In this video, I'm going to show you the top 10 haunted locations in Calgary, Alberta. We're not going to go into the debate on whether ghosts are real or not. I'm somewhere on the fence. Some things seem really credible to me and some things don't. But I find it's really cool to look at haunted locations in any given city because it helps me learn a bit more about that city's history by looking at some of its oldest buildings. So this is just a list of 10 places in Calgary that are generally accepted as being haunted. So let's get started. At number 1 is the Old Grace Hospital. Now, this is now called the Riley Park Health Center, and this building was built in 1926. There's been a lot of debate in Calgary recently about demolishing this building, so it may not be around for much longer. So the main ghost of this building is that of a woman related to the owner of the land that the hospital was built on. And apparently she and her baby died during childbirth, and her ghost has been seen wandering around the old maternity ward of the hospital. At number 2 is the Cat and Fiddle Pub. Now, this building used to be a funeral home and crematorium, and there are a few ghost stories from this place. People have talked about seeing a woman in a red dress who smells of lavender perfume, as well as seeing the ghost of a well-dressed man in a top hat and tails who has been known to frequent the washroom. And there's even a story about a thief that broke into the pub one night, and apparently he was spooked by a ghost of an old biker that he saw in one of the mirrors. So now moving to downtown Calgary, at number 3 is the Fairmont Palliser Hotel. This was built in 1914 and it's considered one of Canada's grand railway hotels. And like all of the other Fairmont hotels from throughout Canada, this has a few ghost stories associated with it as well. So a few of the stories are people have seen a man dressed in a conductor's uniform wandering around. There is also a legend of a ghost of a woman in elegant clothing who is repeatedly seen heading down the staircase towards the former drawing room. And guests at the hotel over the years have spoken about being woken up in the middle of the night by someone tapping their arm. And staff members have also talked about having trouble with the staff elevator, which is sometimes attributed to ghostly activity. At number 4, also in downtown Calgary, is the Lougheed House. Now, this building is now a provincial and national historic site. It was built in 1891, and it is one of the only surviving examples of a grand sandstone prairie mansion. It was the home of Senator James Lougheed, a very prominent man in Calgary's history, and it was one of the first buildings in Calgary with electricity and running water. People have reportedly seen a translucent couple dancing in the ballroom of the building. And many people have also said that they have seen the ghost of an old woman who is looking out the front window of the house at night. At number 5 is the Rose and Crown Pub. This building also used to be a funeral home. It was built sometime in the 1920s. There are a few legends coming out of this pub. People have talked about seeing a lady in a big white dress, and there's reportedly a ghost of a small boy who inhabits the basement of the pub. And staff have also talked about objects being moved around on their own and windows in the attic seemingly opening on their own. At number 6 is the Deane House. This is considered to be one of the most haunted locations in Calgary. Now, this house was built in 1906 and it was moved to its current location in Inglewood in 1926. It was originally built for the first superintendent of Fort Calgary. And there are a few terrible stories that have been associated with this place. In 1933, a boy committed suicide in the attic of the house after being bullied at school for his epilepsy. And in 1952, a man killed his wife by strangling and stabbing her in the house while their children were present. There are a few other deaths associated with this place, and there are so many stories of ghostly activity associated with the house. People have talked about seeing the ghost of a native man with a large braid wandering around. There are stories of people seeing the apparitions of people with missing legs that float down the stairs and then disappear. There are legends of phantom voices and footsteps from throughout the house, and people have also talked about disconnected phones in the house that start ringing even though they aren't connected to any electricity. Now at number 7 is the Rouge Restaurant, or the Old Cross House. This is also in Inglewood. This building was built in 1891 by Alfred Cross, and it's now a municipal and provincial historic site. People have talked about objects being moved around and hearing phantom voices at different times, and different mediums that have visited the house claim that the place is haunted by Helen Cross and her 3-year-old daughter. At number 8 is the Garry Theatre, which is now the Ironwood Stage and Grill. It was built in 1936 and has been a mainstay in the neighborhood of Inglewood ever since. Apparently it's haunted by the ghost of Michael, who is an old theater director who has been known to haunt the basement, appear in the ladies' room, and he's even been said to lock people in different areas of the theater. At number 9 is the Old Zoo Bridge. Now this is really considered to be one of the most haunted areas in Calgary. So there was a bridge that was built in 1908 that linked the neighborhood of Inglewood to St. Patrick's Island. Now this bridge stood for over 100 years. It was eventually removed in 2017 and this new bridge was built. However, a section of the old bridge was preserved and placed as a memorial near the new bridge. In 1946, a 6-year-old Donnie Goss was brutally murdered underneath the bridge, and there's been ghostly activity around this area ever since. A few times a year, Calgary emergency crews reportedly are still called to the area because people have called in reporting hearing a child crying for help. And at number 10, to close out our list, is really one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known haunted location in Calgary, and that is the Devil's Playground. Now, the story goes that there was an old schoolhouse that burned down and it killed everyone inside it. Now, over the years, the location of this schoolhouse that burned down has really been up in the air. But a few years ago, there was a Calgary filmmaker named Dory Davidson Revel who spent years researching this case, and he even made a documentary about this specific case. And he pinpointed the location of the old school to 84th Street and 9th Avenue Southeast. Now, this area is just a field right now. There's been a bunch of development around it, but this land still stands empty where the school used to be. And people have talked about a number of things associated with this area. There are stories of cars that have been parked in the area that have phantom handprints appear on their foggy car windows. And there's been multiple reports of children laughing in the area. And workers in the area have also talked a lot about machinery repeatedly breaking down, which is sometimes attributed to ghostly activity. Okay, so that was Calgary's top 10 haunted locations. I hope you found this video interesting and informative, and there are definitely many more places in Calgary that are reportedly haunted, so I'm going to be making another video down the road to cover some of those as well. If you watched this far, thank you very much. I'm very grateful. And if you're interested in watching more of my videos, I'm going to be uploading at least one new video per week. So please subscribe to my channel if you're interested in watching those. And if you're so inclined, please give this video a like if you got any value out of it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Strange North channel.